Okay, so I'm going to show you two concepts now. One is going to allow you to have control over memory and like lock it down really hard. We have advanced words for this. We say that when something is able to change, like a variable, we call it mutable. And when something can't change, we say it's immutable. Again, fancy words for whether or not something can or cannot change in memory. It's like putting a lock on it. The other concept we're going to go over is a keyword called static. And static is a really, really useful thing to basically make memory be adhered to with the class instead of the object. So let me show you how both of those things work. Here we have public class bot. But you'll see here, let's actually remove the static keyword for now, that we have a string that is declared final. What that means is once this is actually allocated and set at this moment, it can never change. For instance, if I now in my code, I take my bot, so let me get rid of this junk here, and say my bot, you can see that I can get the creator name. I mean, it's still a part of that particular object. But if I want to say it equals something, like let's say Steve Jobs wanted to take credit for it, you'll see that I can't do that. You can't assign a value to a final variable. It's now a constant. This allows you to create pieces of your objects and classes that just never change from the moment they're instantiated. We can also do this with methods. So check this out. Let's say in bot, I'd never wanted anybody to override my talk method. Let's say this was a particular piece of functionality that I was like, look, never change this. I don't want you to override it. Well, by adding final to it, you'll notice that if I now go to something that tries to extend it in JokeBot, I'm going to auto-generate an override method here, I don't get the option even, right? That is now a final method. That method cannot be overridden, no matter how hard I try. Again, JokeBot is extending bot. I'm going to try to do it manually and say, okay, well, I see it's protected. In fact, let's even make it public final, right? So that accessibility clearly has nothing to do with it. If I go into my JokeBot and I try to do that, can't do it. The method is final. That was the final word. Once that was finally defined, it was absolutely final. You can't change it. It is protected from being changed. This is going to really be a use to you when you want to create pieces of code that just shouldn't be messed with. Great, so now we have another particular keyword in our toolbox. I'm going to show you one more, and it's a really powerful one for sharing information. You'll see here that JokeBot has a keyword of static. What does static mean? Well, static basically could be replaced with the word shared. And what it means is that rather than a particular member variable being associated with a particular instance, it's shared for every single instance of that particular class. So you'll see here static ArrayList jokes I know equals null, and then we're getting an error here. It's because I'm using this. There is no this for static. Static is for every single JokeBot. Now what I could do is I could do this. Now what I'm saying is that this jokes I know will change for every single JokeBot, no matter how many I make. So if I, for instance, go over here to my object activity, and let's just concentrate on this line right here. You'll see JokeBot.jokesIknow equals this joke list. Well, because this is a static variable, it's going to be associated with every single JokeBot. So I can actually reference the class directly. Notice that I'm actually saying JokeBot the class. It's a capital J that I'm using here. Capital J dot jokesIknow equal joke writer dot get list, let's say 1. Now, what this means is that not only will JokeBot have its jokes I know now being equal to this particular joke list, but any other JokeBot will also change for that. Using this static keyword is great for particular types of data that need to be shared by the entire group of objects. Now, you might find that you come across situations where it's really hard to actually use these particular member variables unless you yourself also make a static method. Void change or set jokes I know to array list. I can now set jokes I know equaling a jokes I know, But notice that I cannot reference any type of this variable in here. If I try to and say, hey, let's refer to the creator name, I'm going to get an error. It says, hey, you can't reference something from a static context like this. Why? Well, this method is one method shared amongst all of the different jokebots. So when you say this, well, it doesn't know which this there is. I mean, you could be over here. You don't even need to actually instantiate memory. You could just say jokebot dot set jokes I know. I mean, what is that functioning on? Which jokebot? It's functioning on all of those jokebot objects simultaneously. So if you're ever into a situation where you see this error, and it's very common in the beginning when you're using static to come across a situation of trying to set instance variables from a static method, or trying to mess with static variables from an instance method, which again, you can do, but you want to be very careful about saying, is this something where the state is for all objects, or is it just for a single instance? That'll help you determine whether or not you want to make your variables or your methods static.